Welcome to Reflections, a program where we discuss values and virtues for the transformation of the individual and the society in general. I am Father George Ehusani, and I have with me in the studio again our geoscientist friend who has been project manager with Mobile Producing Nigeria, retired in 2020, right?
Yes.
Jerome James Tsakma. You're welcome to the studio.
Thank you very much.
Now, this time, I would like us to discuss values. You went to a Catholic primary school.
Yes.
You went to comprehensive school in Mubi for your secondary education.
That's correct.
And you went to University of Maiduguri. Looking at the time in the 80s that you went to school and today, 2022, what is happening? What has happened to education? You taught for 6 years at the University of Maiduguri.
Yes.
See what has happened to education in this country. University of Maiduguri, for example, used to be, one of the best universities in terms of product of, the products, the graduates, the lecturers. I know a lot of people who went from different parts of this country to University of Maiduguri.
That's correct.
Right now, with the insecurity over the years, how many people would send their children to University of Maiduguri? If you look back to when you were in primary school and when you were in secondary school, a lot has gone down in terms of quality. Security, I'm sure your state is one of those that suffered a lot.
Yes.
With these Boko Haram things. And
my village was occupied by Boko Haram.
Your village was occupied by Boko Haram?
For about 5-6 months, yes.
Good. And people still live with fear in many of those places. What do you think has happened to Nigeria?
Yeah, starting from when I was growing up, attending primary school, and did secondary school, university, our role models then were educated people. Our role models were educated people. Yes. And the moral compass were governed by religious entities. In my case, the Catholic Church.
Correct.
And I was educated through a primary, starting with a primary school. You went to
Our Lady of Consolation.
I went to Our Lady of Consolation Primary School
in Baza.
That was established by the Catholic Mission then. Mm-hmm. And so,
did you learn anything? What did you learn something that you still carried with you till today?
Oh yes, the foundation I got from primary school actually mostly determined the rest of my life. In primary 3, I could write letters.
Primary 3?
Yes.
You wrote letters for people?
Yes, I could write letters for people and to my senior brothers, and mail them. In primary 3, I was only.
And this was not.
I was just 9 years old.
This was a primary school that was open to everybody. The very poorest in the village and the richest in the village.
Yes. The Catholic Church actually, fed us. Like when I was in kindergarten, we used to call it infant in those days.
Yes.
The church fed us. If by 11, 12 the food didn't arrive, we were going back home.
You go back home.
Oh yes.
Now, so for that kind of education where you were fed in school, and then you could write letter from primary 3, how much were you paying?
Well, it was actually subsidized.
Of course,
highly subsidized. I don't remember, but it was very little money.
It was very little money.
Yes. And in primary 3, I could take dictation. That was how the level was very high.
I'm getting to a point.
Yeah.
To get to a primary school in Nigeria today, where in primary 3 you can write and read and write, it will have to be one of these exclusive, very expensive urban primary schools.
Yeah.
Where in Abuja, for example, there would be primary schools where you are paying 200,000 per term.
I have paid that for my children. Let me tell you one thing. My father died when I was in primary 3 at the
age of 9. Yes.
He was a soldier. He died during the Civil War at the war front. And my education was subsidized after that because I was half orphan.
You were half orphan.
When I finished primary school, I went to secondary school. I paid 10 naira.
10 naira.
That was supposed to be the school fees for the year.
For the year?
Yes. But then when they discovered that I was an orphan and a child of a military man that died fighting for the unity of this country, I didn't have to pay another thing. They reduced my school fees to 2 naira per annum.
This was Nigeria that cared for its children.
Exactly. Yes. I only paid 10 naira throughout my secondary school as school fees.
Yeah, because after that first.
Yes.
Yeah. You are now paying 2 naira.
Yeah. No, they kept the 10 naira.
Yes.
And
used it for every year.
Yeah. And then on top of that, we had free feeding.
You ate?
Yes, we ate.
This was a boarding school?
Yes. And then we were also given pocket money, about 60 kobo then.
For your basic needs?
Yes. That was, and for my university education, I went on scholarship too. The Gongola state government provided scholarship.
Now, from what you are saying, I have a question.
Yeah.
Many in your generation.
Yeah.
Who enjoyed this kind of education, who enjoyed scholarship to universities, either state government or federal government, they became leaders in this country, and see what they made of Nigeria.
That's correct. The quality of education when I was growing up was amazing.
I mean, people became governors, people became, whether military or civil, people became MDs of companies and so on.
Exactly.
People who paid 10 naira to go to school, and who got fed in school, who got pocket money and so on, like you have described.
Yeah.
They now got into positions, and then they broke the bridge that they passed through to get to their positions. Because look at what poor children have no opportunities whatsoever today. And a lot of those in position today are people who had the kind of opportunities you had and went to school for almost free. Now, if you're not a millionaire, you cannot go to a school that in primary 6 you can write letter. If you're not a millionaire in Nigeria today. How would you explain? What caused that?
I honestly don't understand this, because I don't understand how we got to where we are today, because we shouldn't be where we are today. The resources that was available to our leaders should have been that we were able to maintain what the leaders actually enjoyed
themselves
at the time they were young. There is no single leader in Nigeria today that won't tell you the same story I'm telling you.
No single leader today went to a private school. They all went to a school, even if it was run by mission. It was highly subsidized.
It was,
and then it was available for everybody, the poorest in the village.
Even the government schools were subsidized.
Yes.
Yeah, we in secondary school, because the comprehensive secondary school was a government secondary school. It wasn't a Catholic secondary school, and we had 3 square meals.
Yes, of course.
Breakfast, lunch, dinner. We had school uniforms that were provided by the school.
Yes.
We had, academic materials that were provided by the school. And, I had an uneducated mom, didn't have any job. So without that setting, there's no way I would have been educated. Up to even when I went for my master's at Imperial College, it was the University of Maiduguri that sponsored me. The vice chancellor then was Jibril Aminu, and he made sure that whoever graduated with a first class, and I was fortunate to have graduated with a first class, and was sponsored, irrespective of whether you were Christian or Muslim, whether you were a northerner or southerner. Jibril Aminu sent every graduate of that school, of that university, that attend those.
Yes. So purely on merit.
Oh, it was purely on merit.
You see, this is it. That these things were done on merit.
Oh, it was on merit. In fact, the first PhD graduate from a foreign university, sponsored by University of Maiduguri, was a southerner. And it was Jibril Aminu that made it happen.
So how did mediocrity suddenly creep in?
I think we were, to me, is the shift from what constitutes a role model to a young person. When I was growing up, what made you a role model in the eyes of a younger person, was how intelligent you were.
Good. When you were growing up, you looked up to people who are intelligent.
Oh, yes. I recall, I used to wonder, people that had a combination after secondary school, they were going for their A-levels, and their combination was
math physics.
Math physics.
I mean, that was it. Math physics.
Or biology, chemistry, physics.
Yes.
You really, I was in awe of such people.
Myself too.
Those were my
role models.
People I wanted to be like. Then the Shagari era came in. This is based on my own experience.
Understand? Yes.
And it became like, it's what money you have made.
Okay. So when the politicians came in 1979, they began to emphasize people who could.
Yeah, young people looked up to who had more money. Politicians and whoever, those that made their money without actually
So you think that by about that 79 to 83, the values started shifting.
Oh, yes.
From people who distinguished themselves in academics, in education,
and actually with high productivity, right?
Yes.
To people that openly announced that they could recruit and employ those type of people that we looked up to.
Aha.
Oh, yes. If somebody has money enough to recruit an engineer,
so the children now shifted.
Oh, yes.
The children shifted their attention from those that studied medicine, engineering, law, to those that could employ.
Yeah. Oh, yes. If somebody has enough money to build a hospital,
yes,
he could employ doctors.
Yes. So why don't you look at the person?
Who would the young person look up to? In this case,
wow,
is it not the proprietor of the hospital?
Yes, rather than the doctor.
Yeah, I mean, there was a seismic shift.
That's an idea.
Yeah, and that has continued till today.
And now, it has gone down further. So those who have money now are not even, unless rogue politicians. But if not rogue politicians,
it's not even just rogue politicians.
The honest politician doesn't have money.
Yes.
It is entertainers that now earn big money.
And businessmen.
And businessmen and women.
Yeah.
So young people, and then when you talk about businessmen, a lot of businesses today are not defined.
Yes. It's really, well, a lot of people call themselves businessmen, but what is
it's not defined.
Where is the product?
Which is why we now have Yahoo.
Yeah, where is the product? Because a business is supposed to constitute, where you invest money to develop a product that you market.
Yes.
And then make profit from it.
People are going around and say they are businessmen.
Yeah, that is what a business is supposed to be in, right? In layman's language. But today, everybody is a businessman. I mean, most people are businessmen, but you don't see what product they have made and they are marketing.
And then we have entertainment turned into big business, whereby a footballer earns £500,000 a week.
Yeah.
And I think it is madness, it's crazy. Where a musician, where a footballer, a movie star, and so on and so forth, they make all that money so that the young people of our age are no longer interested in doing math physics. They are no longer interested in burning the night candle to read, whatever. You go to universities now, there are few people that want to read literature. To talk about somebody reading classics.
Or history.
To talk about somebody reading classics, you say, where am I going to, where am I going to end from it? So, what you are saying is that there was this shift.
Yes.
to admiring people who have money, however they made it.
Oh yes, that is really the real root cause of this, where we are today. It's really, who are the heroes in society today?
Who are the heroes?
For the average young person, somebody coming out of secondary school. It won't be the university professor, somebody that has toiled, earned PhDs, wrote papers, researched, wrote books, became a professor.
Yes.
Now, line up what a professor earns today versus
400,000.
Yeah, versus what
an entertainer
earns in a night. Yeah.
So there's an inversion.
Even if you look at this television series now.
Yes.
Is it
Big Brother?
Big Brother Nigeria.
So
if you look at the population of Nigerians watching Big Brother
and
Nigeria,
voting and
versus
spending,
those
spending money to vote,
and then versus when we have election. Can you imagine, for instance, a state election, the total number of voters that would install a governor of a state is not up to 500,000 votes.
And then from that state, you can have 2 million voting for Big Brother.
Exactly. So there
something went wrong, right?
Something, yeah. It's the shift, it's a seismic shift from true traditional values. When I was growing up in the village, if you are not hardworking, you cannot be seen.
You are a pariah.
Yeah, you are a pariah. I mean, it's really based on productivity, whether it's on the farm or you're using your hands to build and all that. That was what led to being admired and being regarded as a form of, or in the light of a hero.
So you got to University of Maiduguri, studied in University of Maiduguri, got a first class degree. Who are your mentors that you looked up to that helped you to focus on your studies to the extent of making a first class and then going further to do a master's degree, coming but teaching in the university? Who are your mentors?
My mentors were graduates that I saw, the early graduates from my village. For instance, somebody would graduate, and then the next thing he'll buy a car. There was usually car loan in those days.
3 months after.
3 months after, he gets a job and he gets a car. He gets married and starts a family, and he's living well. A young person is impressionable. I want to be like that person.
Yeah.
By the time I go to the university, professors were my role models. How did they get to? They are not. I'm just, in pursuit of my first degree. Those guys have second and third degrees.
Yes.
You want to be like them. They are inspiration.
They were the stars.
They were the stars of those days. I mean, let me even tell you, to be even a core member in those days was something.
Oh yes.
That this person has graduated from the university and is wearing this brown uniform, khaki uniform that depicts that he has achieved what the ordinary Nigerian has not achieved. When I was doing my youth service in Sokoto, we were highly respected.
Of course.
Highly respected. In fact, I worked as a hydrogeologist in Sokoto, and I had like 30 staffs in the Sokoto Rima Basin office.
Mm-hmm. And you were the graduate.
And I was the graduate.
Yes. Most of them were not.
No, most of them were not. So it was like, in fact, I was the only graduate because they were mostly field staff that I was supervising. And as a youth corper, I had the accommodation, I had a driver, I had a Land Rover.
Because the society respected your education.
Exactly, yes. And the money I got, the salary then, youth corper salary was 200 naira.
Yeah.
It catered for everything that I needed. Mm-hmm. Beside the pocket money I was getting from the company.
And there was this the whole insatiability we see today in the youth, among the young people. You were contented with the 200
No, I was
naira.
Contented. There wasn't,
You were not desiring to be a millionaire as a youth corper.
No, because at that time the value system was not for people that had a lot of money. Yes, they were rich men,
but
they were proper understanding of how they got rich. And so you wanted a roadmap to go on that trip that they went to get to where they are, right? And so there was a line of sight. Like if I did, and they didn't become rich overnight.
You knew as a young man that these people you admired did not become rich overnight.
There was a process, and there was time involved.
Time and effort.
Time and effort involved. You know, so and even in those days, when in my hometown, if somebody is rich and they don't know the source of his wealth, he's not respected.
And you say that it is from about 1979 when the politicians came in. You say that is when we began to have this sesame shift.
Because that was when I remember my uncle, who was not educated, he didn't actually finish primary school.
He joined politics.
But he was a politician, and he said he could employ graduates.
So he boasted that he could.
Exactly. This is really real life experience for me, and it's true that a lot of people, graduates, when there are not enough jobs, a graduate would have to do anything that he can get his hands on to survive.
What you are describing now happened in Anambra State.
Mm-hmm.
You know, Anambra State was renowned as one of the most educationally advanced states.
Yes.
Then they got to a time where people were bragging that they don't need to go to school. After all, they can employ graduates from their business.
Yes.
So a lot of male children were no longer interested in going to school.
That's exactly, and I think that actually cut across
the country.
Yeah.
And now we have a lot of people in the university, even in the universities, who are there simply because their parents want them to become graduates.
Yes.
They're not interested.
Yes, that's true.
And while they are there, they are looking at all kinds of things, both fair and foul, that they can use to make money. The name of the game is just money.
Yeah, because that is what is worshipped in this country right now. You know, the more money you have, the more of a hero you become in the eyes of the youths. A professor is not a role model anymore like it was during my day.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. I mean,
somebody with a PhD does not command the respect it used to. Even a graduate doesn't command.
If professors command the respect as they used to, then Nigerians will not sit down and watch professors out of job for 7 months. There would have been a public outcry.
Yes. Yeah, because I mean, to get to be a professor, it takes a lot of dedication, intellect, and steadfastness to get to be a professor. And I was in the academic, environment. I started off as an academician. I know what it takes to be a professor. So for a young person that joins a bank, or somebody that just finished NYC, or finished and then gets a master's degree, I'm just giving that as an example, gets an oil company job to earn more than a professor that has been in that chair for
30 years.
30 years.
Sad.
I mean, yeah, it is sad.
And I mean, in serious universities, to become a professor, you would have put in so much and trained so many people.
Oh, yes.
Because part of what makes you a professor is the number of people you have trained.
Of course.
The number of articles you have published
and the research work you've done.
Peer-reviewed journals, research work we have done. Then you contribute all that knowledge to society, and then the banker is paid better, the oil worker is paid better, even the starting salary of some organizations better than the professor's own.
Yes.
Why do you think there is no? I would think that there should have been a public outcry against that denigration of the teaching profession. Why is there no? Is it lack of awareness, or the whole society has come to accept that teachers are not important?
I think it's the prioritization of our educational system. If ASU has been at home
for 7 months.
For 7 months, and students have been at home, they've lost a whole session, a whole year.
Yes.
I mean, sometimes to graduate with a first degree now.
You spend 7 years.
Exactly. So I think it's all about prioritization. You know, because if you look at when we have, for instance, political timetable to adhere to.
We do strictly.
We do strictly. You know, there's an INEC timetable, and everything is done to make sure that happens. Whereas a student getting into the university for a 4-year course
spends 7 years.
7 years. And it doesn't raise any alarm. And it's no fault of the student.
No.
So I think it's just about prioritization.
And when you think about what the university staff are demanding, there is nothing outrageous, really. When you think about what the agreements that government had with ASU in 2009, 2015, blah, 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 those agreements are nothing unusual, really. But if we do not, as you say, prioritize education, then we will be where we are.
Because during my days, I mean, when I went to Imperial, for instance, Nigerian students, graduates, actually, if you had a first class from a Nigerian university, you could go straight into a PhD program in the UK.
Yeah, it was so.
It was like that. And there was a community of Nigerian students at Imperial and all over UK universities. And they got there not because their parents were wealthy.
No.
They were scholarships. We had Commonwealth scholarships. People like myself were sponsored by universities. And they didn't need any entrance or any test. I didn't write any test to get admission into 3 UK universities. It was based on
the quality of the university in Nigeria that they recognized.
Yes, the quality of education in Nigeria that they recognized. And Nigeria, in fact, the year before I got to Imperial, the best graduating student was a student from the department I went into. He had a PhD in petroleum geochemistry. He was the best graduating student in the entire university. And Nigerians setting those records, even in today's America.
Yes, Nigerians have continued to set records.
When you go to, I lived in the US for some time. When you go to graduation in most American universities, and I lived in Texas, so I could speak about that. You go to a Texas University graduation ceremony. If you see 10 blacks, 9 of them are Nigerians. And if there are 10 prizes to be won,
7 of them will be taken by the Nigerians.
So we Nigerians are brilliant. They apply themselves, and we have so much potential, human resource potential in this country that's mind-boggling. That if we prioritize, and it starts with education, a good education.
It starts with elementary education. Good elementary.
Yeah, starting from primary school.
On that note, I'll be bringing this segment to an end. I have been speaking to Jerome, James,
Tsakma.
Tsakma
is about most people anglicize it.
Jerome James Tsakma, retired from Mobile Nigeria Producing, and we have been discussing the Nigerian situation as it was when he went to school and benefited from good Catholic education, elementary school, government education, comprehensive high school in Mubi, and University of Maiduguri, and with a first class went to Imperial College and became a geoscientist and working with Mobile. How come the whole thing has degenerated to where we are today? And then we shall have one more segment, to discuss way forward. How do we get to where we desire to be? How do we overcome these present challenges? I think it is possible to overcome them.
Yes, of course.
Good.
Yeah.
The next segment I'll have with you is how to overcome this. Thank you very much for coming to the studio and so on.